on the RDFNL Netball show, and my name's Yeendy, joined by Tara Murray from the Star Weekly. What a round we had last weekend. A few surprises in there, and it's just building up in anticipation of what's going to be happening this week.
It is, and it was really good to actually see every team on the court. Gave us a little bit of an indication where some of those sides, which such as your Diggers Rest and your Romsey, sort of sit in the line of things, because we didn't really know a lot about their lineup. So it was good to see them on the court, and saw a few different results and a few big margins as well.
Absolutely, and we'll make note of it due to time constraints. Well, and just the positioning of filming, we won't have any details on the Macedon and Rupertswood game for Anzac Day, but it'll be all over the social media anyway, which is fantastic. As we turn our attention to what happened last weekend, we had Diggers Rest and Broadford. Diggers Rest hadn't played a game in it's their first game of the season, and they come out flying. I think out of all the results of the weekend, this was the one that surprised me the most. Diggers Rest 70-21 against Broadford.
Obviously, brilliant start for Diggers Rest. Obviously, to shoot 70 goals in round one. Broadford, though, was missing their star goal shooter in Amelia Brock, so that makes a big difference to that Broadford side. That make any side that lost their goal shooter would have troubles. Then obviously that did have an impact there. But for the Burrows, it was a really good start. It's the first time this team's played together. They've had 4 new inclusions and lost several players. They lost Tony Lynn, they lost Natasha Chocolate, they've lost Amy Carroll, but they've brought in 4 younger girls, and it's a real young lineup. So you've got Annika Shearer, who comes across from Lansfield, was a key to their defence, so she's come over and part of that Burrows defence. You've got Carly Harrison, who was best on court 2 years ago in the RDFL Grand Final for Riddle. You've got Olivia Thomas, who comes into the mid-court as well, and you've got Kathy Digger, who comes into that goal circle, and she's got 55 goals in her first game. So she's played state netball before. I know she played for Gisborne a couple of years ago, and she's played with Shelby Strong as well, so that's a key for them in that circle. You've got Shelby and Kathy, who have played together, and that gives them a brilliant start that they may not have if they hadn't have played together.
Does it raise a few concerns for Broadford that you take Millie Brock out of that lineup and their dynamic sort of changes a bit dramatically, or was it just just a bit of a reality check just to sort of see where they're at?
Well, it was interesting. We don't actually know where they're at, because round one they played Wallen, a side which we haven't seen play either. So It was always going to be Broadford 2-3 weeks to see where they are. Any side's going to miss a goal shooter of Millie Brock's ability. She did play Australian Netball League last season, so that's a high level. That's the second highest competition in the country. So any side that loses her is going to hurt. So hopefully her VNL commitments don't affect her too much, that she can play a lot of games for Broadford, and it gives them a lot stronger side.
Probably says more about where Diggers Rest are at as well. Just a brand new lineup, and perhaps that's the standard that they're going to play it against a lot of the sides this year.
Well, it is. They've played final. They've been around the mix for finals the last couple of years. They just haven't won a final. So I know they're looking at finals again. And speaking with Pam Strong during on the weekend, she said if they don't make finals, she will be really disappointed. So they need to be beating sides like this, because we don't know where Broadford and that are going to fit in the mix. And it was a really good start for them.
I personally expect Broadford to make finals too. So if all going well, they both make finals. It's certainly going to be a good barometer there. Wallen, well, they just keep on fighting through. 44 defeating Riddle.
Riddle got up.
Sorry, there we go. Sorry, my bad, that one. So they win by 1 goal 1 week and then lose by a goal the next.
It is, and that's the thing with this. It was interesting. I saw Riddle round 1 and was really impressed in their loss to Macedon. And they've got 2 of the best players in the competition. You've got Beck Colwell, you've got Lauren Close. For them, it's how their younger players stand up and whether they can handle the heat game in, week out. And they've started really well. They had a loss round 1, but that one. So, and for Wallen, they're both sides pushing for that top 6. They've had 1 close loss and 1 close win. So they're showing that they're competitive in every game they're going to be in. So it was quite an interesting performance there, and would have been a thrilling match to watch.
Exactly, and played in pretty warm conditions too. So to be able to do it at such a high intensity, I think is fantastic. And you need to be. These are finals type games where if you can learn how to win in these sorts of match conditions, you're going to be playing them in finals, and that's where you want to be playing. So get used to it now and get a bit of an idea of where you're at.
Exactly. So yeah, it was good signs for both teams though.
Well, then Heskett and Melton Centrals was an interesting contest. The Centrals, they went down to Rockbank in round 1, and the young Hawks, they pushed them. They went to within 13 goals. They could take a lot of positives out of that, the Hawks.
It is. It was a better performance from Centrals. They struggled in round 1, especially in the wet and windy weather. So I think they would have liked Saturday a lot better than that. You've got the Hawks continued to fight. They did win the 3rd quarter in the match before Centrals shot away in that final quarter. Probably one big thing so far for Centrals, their first 2 weeks, their best player has been Beck Moorabool.
Yep.
She shared the Ryan medal last year. I think she's won 3 over the time. So she's starring again, and she's leading the way for Centrals. goals.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Good win for them, just to get their season back on track. You can't keep a good side down for too long, and they'll learn a lot from that. Rupa and Romsey, a very interesting contest, went within 5 goals.
It is, obviously. Rupert's Wood got over the line 44-39. Rupert's Wood started slow. Speaking with Di McCormack, she said they tried to push the pace too much in that first half, and that created errors. So once they slowed it down and got back onto their sort of game style, they came away with the win. For the Sharks, they were missing Beck Anstey in the defensive end, so they tried a couple of the younger. Lara Keating played a little bit in goal defence, and she doesn't normally play in that position. And you had Matilda Elliott came up. She played in their B-grade grand final last year, I think it was, and she came up and played a little bit in that senior side as well. So for the Sharks, it was a really good performance. For Romsey, it was our first look at what this side looks like. They've obviously lost a few players. They've lost Al McDonald, they've lost Millie Brock, they've lost Sarah Sikowski, I think is how you pronounce her last name.
Yep.
So you've got them, but you look at their key lineup in the shooting circle. They still had Bronwyn Blair, they had Chelsea Ross, they had Kaylee Armstrong, they had Lauren Angwin, they had Stephanie Symes, so they still had a number of players from that premiership side. So I don't think they're going to be easy beats this year. They've obviously got a new coach as well, but I think they'll still be around the mix.
Yeah, definitely a good insight to where they're at in the first game of the season for Romsey. Always a stepping stone there. And the other game we've got Rockbank and Macedon. Macedon were 36 goals too good, 68-32. Your thoughts on that one?
No surprise there. I saw both these sides actually in round one, and there was a lot different, obviously different conditions, but you had the Cats who weren't at full strength, got over the line against Riddle in a really high scoring game, and then Rockbank got a lot of confidence over their win out of Melton Central. So it's probably a good test for Rockbank to see where they are at against those really top sides. And there is a gap. The Cats still aren't at full strength. Katie Clark still hasn't taken to the court with after breaking her toe in the pre-season, but they are getting better and they've got a lot more depth. So I'm not surprised with that one at all.
Turning attention to this weekend's big games, and no doubt we'll start to see the ladder really start to take shape. Diggers Rest and Riddle.
This is interesting. I think this will be a very, very interesting game. You've obviously got both sides coming off wins, different sort of wins, but they're both very, very young sides with a couple of key players in each side. So I think this will be very close.
Your tip for this one?
I think I tip Riddle, but it could go either way, especially after the Burrows' performance on the weekend. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's going to be a really close one. Diggers Rest only just, and they probably need the win a little bit more as well, because we know Riddle, they're a seasoned side. They're very, very good campaigners, and when they make finals, they're very, very hard to beat. I think Diggers Rest is important for them to get that win for them. So another big game, Centrals and Romsey, another intriguing contest.
It is. I actually had a lot of trouble doing my tipping for this week since you've introduced the netball tipping.
Yep, in the RDFNL record, check it out every week.
It is, and I had a lot of trouble tipping this one as well because I hadn't seen Romsey play, obviously, but Romsey still have a lot of experience. Both sides have a lot of experienced players. I don't know which one this one. This is another one I generally don't know. It could go either way. So look, I'll probably go Romsey, but quite easily with Centrals, their experienced players. Their best 3 players in the first 2 weeks have been Mel Laird, Jess May and Beck Morabito. Those 3 fire. Centrals can get over the line against any side.
Yep, I'll jump on the Centrals bandwagon just for a point of difference. Another tough game. Wooden-Esker versus Rockbank.
From what I saw round one, I'd probably go Rockbank. Rockbank took a lot of confidence out of that win in round one. And they do have a bit more depth than what they've got. The Hawks have struggled a little bit at times, but they're a young side and they know where they sit. They're about building for the future, and they've got players coming through they're hoping will be at the club for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So it's 2 of the younger sides and 2 of the really up-and-coming sides that we'll look at this week in that match. Can't
remember who I put in the record, but I'm just gonna go for the Hawks just again for a point of difference. The young Hawkettes to get up in a thriller by 2 goals. That's my guess. Another game which could probably go to 1 or 2 goals as well, because we've already seen that before in 2018. It's Wallen playing host to Broadford again.
It is. It seems so. We've already seen them play each other in round 1, and now round 3 they're playing each other, but that's just the way the fixtures have been changed with Lansfield and Sunbury Kangaroos not having sides. And look, if you've got Millie Brock on the court, this game could go either way. We saw in round 1 it could have gone either way. Quite easily go that way too. It could be quite possible that Wallen has 3 thrillers within 3 weeks.
Your tip for this one?
I'm going to tip Wallen.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't actually know who I tipped in the record either, so it could have gone either way. So it was one of those rounds that any match could have gone either way. So
I'll go to Broadford, and I guess it's matches that could have gone either way, but that's great. That's great for the competition. It's strong, it's healthy. We've got the young guns firing off against each other. We've got some of the heavyweights going head to head, and some of those that some of the previous champions going head to head. This has got all the makings of a really good round. We've got 4 big games, and all our tips could go skewed the other way.
And obviously, and we've had a 5th big game already played in Macedon and Rupert's Wood, and we'll talk about the results next week when we wrap up all the games of the round. So it was a really tough round to tip with 5 really good matches.
Absolutely, and before we wrap things up here, make sure you jump onto the Rupert's Wood Football Netball Club YouTube channel. It is going off. They've got some big netballers guests coming up as well, doing a fantastic job. Lockie and the team over there, magnificent.
It is, exactly.
We look forward to catching up with you next week, Tara, and everyone out there as we look forward to a big weekend of RDFNL Netball.